In this video, we'll start to work on cart persistence for our e-commerce app with Django and Python. Hey guys, John Alder here from codemy.com. And in this video, we're going to work on cart persistence. So you may have noticed if you have a shopping cart, if you had things added to our shopping cart while you're logged in, if you then log out, the shopping cart disappears. Why is that? Well, that's sort of the default thing we want to happen. If you're logged in, you're a person that we can identify. And if you log out, we want your shopping cart to disappear because you could leave the computer, somebody else could stumble back into the computer and see your cart. You know, if you're a husband putting something in for a gift for your wife on your shopping cart and you're logged in and then you log back out and your wife comes along later, looks at the computer, you don't want her to see the shopping cart, things like that. It's just a privacy thing. It's the default position, but we don't want that shopping cart to just disappear. And right now it just disappears. So what we want to do is save your shopping cart to the database in your user model while you're logged in. And then when you log out, it will disappear. But then when you log back in, it will reappear. And that's what we're going to start to look at in this video. So let's head over to our code using the Sublime Text Editor and the Git Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the pinned comment section below, as well as a link to the playlist with all the other videos in this Django e-commerce series. So check that out if you haven't so far. So we've got our code here and we want to first pull up our models.py file. Now, before we do this, let me just show you very quickly what I'm talking about in case you're wondering here. So let's log out. Let's add a product to our cart. Here it is. Now, if we log in, it's still there, right? That's good. But now when we log out, you'll notice our cart went to 0 and it's just gone. So likewise, we can also log in again, then add a thing to a cart, right? Here it is. And we log out again, it also disappears. So that's cart persistence. We need to make sure our cart persists, when a user's logged out or logged in. Now, like I said in the intro, this is what you want. You want the cart to disappear when somebody logs out just for privacy reasons, right? So that's why it does it by default, but we still want to be able to save that to the database. So let's head back over to our code and head over to our models.py file. And in our profile, this is the user profile. Let's come down here and create another field here. And I'm just going to call this old cart, right? Because this is going to be our old cart, the thing that we save. And I'm going to come up here and let's copy this guy. And let's also put null equals true. And I'm going to use a car field. And this is a little weird because if you'll remember, our shopping cart is a Python dictionary. So it's kind of hard to save a Python dictionary to a database. You could do it, but it's kind of complicated. And so instead of doing that, I'm just going to convert our Python dictionary shopping cart into a string. It'll be a car field. We'll save it as a string in the database. We'll pull it back out as a string, and then we'll convert it back to a dictionary. Right? That's much easier than sort of trying to save it as a dictionary in the database. So, okay, this is a major change to our model, our database. So we need to save this file and migrate this, make a migration and migrate it. So head back over to our terminal, Control C to break out of here. I'm in my C/ecom/ecom directory. My virtual environment is turned on. And let's run Python manage.py make migrations. Now this is plural, even though we're only making one migration. But you can see that field has been added. So now we need to push this into the database. So let's go Python manage.py migrate. Okay, that looks good. So let's run our server again. Python manage.py run server. Okay. That looks good. So we can come back over here and hit reload just to make sure. Now, let's log in. Now, we need to do a couple of different things. There's a couple of moving pieces here, and we'll probably have to break this into a couple of videos because it's going to take a while to get through all of this stuff. And the first thing is, whenever we're logged in and we add something to the cart, so if I come down here and add this to the cart, it's been added to our cart, but we now also want to add that to the field that we just created, that database field. We want to add it to the database. And as you can see, if we come back over here and hit the admin section, look at our users and our admin, down here, we now have this old cart field. There's nothing in it. Eventually, it will look something like this, or, something like this. Oops. Right? This is what our shopping cart looks like. So product number 3, we have one of them. Product number 4, we have 2 of those, right? That's what our shopping cart looks like, and that's what will eventually go in this field, right? One thing to notice, though, these single quotation marks around the key value pair. Remember, dictionaries are key value pairs. The first thing is the key. It's a string in this setup with single quotation marks. Now, the way we're going to save this as a string and then convert it back to a dictionary is by using JSON. And JSON is JavaScript object notation. It just allows us to do this very easily. But the thing about JSON is it doesn't work with single quotation marks like this. So we're going to have to also convert these to double quotation marks. So it'll look like this, right? The double quotation marks instead of the single one. So we'll get to that in just a second. I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, but this will start to make sense as we move forward here. So, all right, let's head back over here and let's see, what do we want to do? So let's head back over to our code and let's go up to our cart section and our cart.py file. Now this is where we're doing all sorts of things, right? Now this is where we're doing all sorts of cart things, right? And the first thing we need to do is we're dealing with a logged in user. And when we built all this cart stuff, we didn't really deal so much with a logged in user. We had the request session, but we weren't dealing with logged in people. So we need to. So instead of just, you'll notice when we initialize this cart class, we're passing in the request, and the request is the user, right? Anytime somebody is on the website, they are making requests for the pages of the website. When we log them in, that's a user request. It's a request. So let's create a variable that will sort of persist outside of the initialization function. So here, let's get request, let's say. And I'm going to call this self.request, and that's going to equal our request, right? And that's already been passed in. We did that earlier whenever the cart gets initialized, right? But now we've sort of assigned it to its variable that we can then use throughout this cart. So, okay. Now let's come down here to the add function. And anytime we add something to the cart, this little method, this function gets called, right? And we have the product and the quantity, right? Here and here. So that's all fine. And then we're saving the session. But then let's come down here and add another little section here. So deal with logged in user. So first we need to determine if a user is logged in. So let's go if self.request, that's that variable we just created, .user.is_authenticated. And we've done this lots of times throughout this playlist already in other sections. So if they are logged in, well, what do we want to do? Well, let's get the current user profile, right? We need to get that field in order to add stuff to it, right? So that's just, let's just call this current_user. And let's set this equal to a profile .objects.filter. Now this is a little weird. We're not getting it. We're going to filter it by, and you'll see why in just a second. And what do we want to filter by? Well, the user __ID equal to whoever our logged in user is. And that's just self.request.user.id. Now this profile, that's our profile model, but we can't really access that from here unless we import it. So let's come to the top here, and we've already got from store.models import product. Now we just also need to import the profile. So, okay, that looks good. So come back down here, and this will get us the current user. Now, like I said, we're going to be using JSON later on to reconvert this from a string back to a dictionary. So we need to get rid of those single quotation marks, because remember, it looks like 3, 1 and 2, 4. So this would be 4 copies of book number 2 and 1 copy of book number 3. But what we need it to be is 3, 1 and 2, 4, or whatever. But the point is, these need to be double quotation marks instead of the single that they are. So let's just convert that. Let's convert that to that. How's that for a comment? So anyway, we could do this. I'm going to create a variable called carty, and this is just we're going to take our cart, which is self.cart, right, which is this thing, and we're going to convert it to a string, right? So it's no longer a Python dictionary. Now it's just a string. So it's sort of like this whole thing is wrapped in quotation marks now, right? Because that's what a string is. So inside of this, let's go carty equals carty.replace. And the replace function in Python lets us replace something with something else, right? So what do we want to replace? Well, we want to replace the single quotation marks, but that's kind of weird. So I'm going to put a break character here with double quotation marks, right? So this is also very weird. And you'll notice everything turned yellow. So again, we need to use this sort of break character just to do that. So, okay, that should do that. That will convert this into this, right? Now, let's save our carty to the profile model. And that's super easy because we use this filter. Because we use the filter, it's going to be really easy to update it. We don't even have to save it. We could just update it. Same thing, different word, right? So let's go current_user, which we've defined right here to be that profile. We can just .update. And then what do we want to update? Well, we only want to update one field, that old_cart field, right? And if we go back to our models.py file, that's this field we just created, right? So we want to update that field with what? With our carty. Now, this should already be a string, but you know what? I'm just going to wrap it in another string function just to make sure, right? So, okay, that should do the trick. Now, let's head back over here and let's log out. Let's just start over here. Log in. We've got nothing in our cart. So let's go admin. Okay. And now let's grab this guy and I want to put 5 of them. So let's add to cart. Uh-oh, got an error already. Let's see what happened. Cart is not defined. Oh, right there. Cart. Misspelled carty. Should be carty. So when we replace the quotation marks, I misspelled cart. So, okay, go ahead and save this. Now that should work. Let's head back over here. And we want to add 5 of these guys. Boom. When we do our cart updates, product was added to cart. All right, that seems to work. Now let's check the admin section just to make sure. So let's log back in, go over to your users, click admin, come down here, and oh yeah, sure enough, there's a 3 and there's 5 of them. Now, what will happen if we add more things? So let's add the Tkinter book, and we only want 2 of those. Add to cart, boom, there's 2. All right. So again, we ought to make sure though. Let's go back over here. Whoops. There we go. Click on users, click admin, come down here, and sure enough, it's been updated. We've got book 3, 5 copies of that. Book 4, 2 copies of that. And the quotation marks are correct. They're not single quotation marks. They're double quotation marks, which is going to be important later on. Okay, so not too bad. We've now saved to the database, and we can confirm. Let's see, if we come back over here and head back to the site, there are 2 things in our cart. Now, if we log out, it goes back to 0, right? Well, let's log back in. Well, it still says 0. What's going on? Well, if we head back to the admin area and click on our users and admin, we say, hey, it's still there. We now just need to pull it out of there and re-add it to the session, the cart session that's in the web browser of our user. Well, the important thing is that it's here. Now we can do anything we want with it. And I think we'll do this part in the next video because it's a little bit more involved. And we're already a fair way into this video. So, all right. Step 1 complete. We're able to save our cart to the database. Pretty painless. Next week, we will work on adding that back in. Remember, it's a string, so we're going to have to convert it back to a Python dictionary. We'll use some JSON to do that. Super easy. And then we also need to create a new function to handle new add things that we add after we've loaded the cart back. It's a whole thing. We'll get into that next week, but yeah, moving right along. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out codemy.com where you could use coupon code YouTube50 to get 50% off lifetime membership. So that's access to all my courses, over 60 courses, thousands of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 190,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Alder from codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.